Hello and welcome to another weekly live stream. We're continuing on our AI journey, making a little progress. I feel much better about where we are these days. I'm actually having Mythruna Girl do some interesting things these days, so let's go ahead and get started. So scrolling on the left are the patrons. If you would like to become a patron, you can hit up the Patreon links that are variously scattered around Mythruna.com. They're in the doobly-doo for the video, etc. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let me show you where we are. So I've pivoted yet again a little bit. Once I actually got into making things do things, I had sort of a clearer picture of what I wanted to do, and now we're more or less just circling around the details. I'll explain in a second. Let's go ahead and get the boink, boink, boink. So put Mythruna Girl down in the picture like we usually do. Move this up here. I guess I could even make it a little wider, couldn't I? Yes, and now my screen is going in and out, which you guys can see. So when I look over here, I can see it. But for whatever reason, my monitor and KVM like to just give me a black screen every now and then, which is really frustrating. So we've got this new, I think maybe we had it last time, this brain thing. I can make her sleep and work, but those are just like, I was using that old strategizer approach, and this would just make her walk to her bed, and this would make her walk to the anvil. But now when I started to get into like retrieving materials, finding materials, searching for materials to do the create dagger task, that we had been playing with the GOP rules, I came up with sort of, it's behavior tree-like in the sense that you can have a hierarchy of things. I'm still kind of trying to work out how I exactly want it to work, but the idea is in the API, you can have like these activities, and they have like a start, run, and a stop. And so in the start, you can kind of set up the things you want. Like if you want, in this case, we have like a child task where we're going to walk around to the different containers to try to find whatever object we're looking for. The example I have right now is where we want to find our hammer, and so we walk to all the different chests that hammer might be in. And so in the start, we set up sort of the things, right? We want to find all the chests at the time this activity was started, and we're going to set up the child activity. And then the bulk of the work is done down in this run method. And the idea is the run method could run every frame to see where we are, to iterate on GOP solvers or pathfinding or whatever else. In this case, what it's doing is it's saying, do I already have this object? Maybe I picked it up along the way. If so, then I'm done. Return. If there are no more containers to search, then I'm also done because there's not nowhere to go. And if not, then I check to see if we're standing next to a container and we're close enough to get things out of it, and then I look in it to see if it's got what we're looking for, and if it does, I put that in my inventory and I say, yes, we're done, and I return. If not, then I call this fork, which is one way this activity can shell out to another activity to do the walk behavior, to walk to the next chest. And if that ever fails, so like we failed to find a chest, or we failed to walk there for some reason, then we can decide what we want to do here. And the parts that I haven't really decided is I really want to be able to support sort of parallel forks. But right now the way it is once you've forked, then that task's run method will get called, and this task's run method won't get called anymore. Which is fine. It works for all of my simple cases, but I want to be able to do some more advanced things, and we might talk about that a little bit because there's some behavior that's kind of dumb. And this is where your classic behavior trees have a problem coordinating activities across, coordinating activities in the general sense across behaviors. So for example, if my overarching goal is to create a dagger, but I'm still in my house, I've got to collect my hammer, I've got to collect some materials and stuff, and I know that, but I'm also leaving my house. I'm potentially passing by other chests and things. What would be nice to know is all of my current goals in a way that, hey, if I happen to pass by a chest that has a rod or a hammer in it, then I'll go ahead and pick them up, even though they aren't necessarily part of the goal of that particular activity. So being able to like register with the context, the activity context, which is the sort of general agent-specific stuff that we're tracking. Be able to register with that says, yeah, I'm interested in getting a couple rods, I'm interested in getting a hammer. And so no matter what, whenever we're in one of these get object or get by type tasks and we're already looking in a container, we'll say, oh, by the way, is there anything else I'm looking for? I'll go ahead and add that to my inventory. So, like if they're not carrying an apple around, but they want to carry an apple around to eat later or whatever, these things can all be put in sort of their general goals. And so anyway, that's the part I haven't quite gotten working yet, and that would require parallel forking because, like, if you think of the create dagger task, we're going to want two things. We're going to want the hammer, we're going to want the rod, and those are going to be two separate, like, get object tasks in a way. But it would be nice and so right now, like, if the rod and the hammer are in the same chest, we'll still run get object twice rather than picking them both up at the same time kind of thing, which normally wouldn't look any different, but could be sorted in with other things in a way that it looks dumb. Like they go to the chest, they get the hammer out, then they walk to do something else, then they come back and they get the rod out of the same chest when they could have saved themselves a trip kind of thing. So right now, like, the fork will take over, but I really kind of want it to be more behavior tree-like in the sense that this run method will continue to get called, but we'll also call this child and maybe other children. But anyway, these are details to work out. But I like the architecture so far because it's clean and it lets me think about things. I kept coming back to that no matter what behaviors I wanted to do in code, it was easier to think about them in just simple code. Like I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this. And now I can sort of just more declaratively say, we make the method sort of adaptive so that if we're already at where we're going, it'll figure it out. Or if we've already got what we need, we'll figure it out. That makes the caller simpler. But let's see one of these things in action, okay? So we're going to ask it for, we're going to get this rod task, which is, where is it? Up here. It's just a hardwired thing at the moment to the rod test, which we're going to get 2 rods. So we're going to look around, and so we create that activity and we start it. And so we'll hit the rod, and we'll get like a little log here as she's doing so. So she figures out that's where she needs to go. The other thing, we have this follow control, so we can follow her around. She walks kind of slow right now because the start, stop from the way the paths are defined. That's not the way they'll really be. We'll probably have a separate redoing the pathfinding. Okay, so she grabbed the rod from that chest, but there's not another rod in that chest. So she's currently working on, yes, now she's starting to walk to one of the other chests to get another rod. Yeah, so I've got currently the inventory for each of the containers just kind of floats above the container as a visual representation of what's in the container. So right now she's holding a rod. And she walks slow, but she's heading over to the shop. Boop, 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 boop. And so she's going to check in this chest because that's the next nearest chest she found when doing the pathfinding. And she's not going to find it in there, so she's going to calculate another path over to this chest, which she will find. This one also has the hammer in it. Okay, so she's got that. And so then, like, now, she's already standing there. If now we grab the hammer, she doesn't have to do anything. She's just going to grab it because she's already at that chest. That's one of the cool things about the way these activities are written, because they already check for, am I already there? Yeah, so do I already have it in my inventory? So this, if we try this again, she's just going to say, no, I already have it. There's no reason to get it. And so, they can adapt a little bit. But even when they're running, if they happen to come near a chest that has it in, they'll pick it up. So it's kind of cool. And so today I thought what we'd do is start making the more complicated behaviors, like we were with the gope, which is going to require not only having a rod, but maybe a heated rod that we've heated in the forge. But in order to go to the anvil, you need the hammer and the rod, and then we'll chain all these things together and see if they still work. Because that's the trick part. That's the tricky part. This agent context that's managing the fork behavior and making sure that all this declarative stuff works as expected. But I like this approach also because you've got, I like to see the flow. And that's one of the things you lose in sort of the behavior trees. You could construct all this as a behavior tree. That's absolutely 100% true. These would be a chain of conditionals, and then potentially a sequence of children, and so on and so forth, and then it would just run through them every time. But I find this a little easier to read and comprehend, and like some of this needs to be cleaned up a lot. Like I do all these distance checks, which I've built out, which is like a 2D distance check with a y, 2.5D clamping, because it makes more sense for objects. Like otherwise what happens is, like, if I want to know if she's near this chest and I take like the center of the chest against the center of her, that's not a very realistic representation of how close she is to this chest. More, it's like the 2D representation is better. Her feet are near the bottom of this chest. That's more realistic. But also, you want to make sure she's not on the second floor. And so I clamp it within like a 1 meter plus or minus range, center to center, and then do the actual distance with just the 2D representation, because that's more realistic to sort of how we work in a 2.5D world. Anyway, so what we want to do, let's make an initial create dagger routine activity that just that doesn't deal with the heated rod yet. So you get to watch me create one of these implements. Oh, can't type. It's always good to lose the ability to type right before you're going to be doing it in front of a bunch of people. Okay, so one thing is true, and I'm going to go ahead and add these at overrides. So one thing is true, you definitely in this approach want to create your children, the child activities once. Trying to think what I want to parameterize. We probably want to parameterize what we want to do with it, but for now let's just see if we can just get it to work at all. So there's like a bunch of API cleanup I've got to go back and do. Like I have passed this nav grid and nav function everywhere. That should probably be part of the the agent context itself rather than passing it to all these activities. I find it's much easier to clean things up once I have something working and I can see how it all fits together, and I can figure out what I can cut out and what I can simplify. And of course we've been struggling for the last few months on even an approach, and so having an approach that so far hasn't collapsed under its own weight has been useful too. Okay, so first we want to, I think we want to get any hammer, not just so we want to get the get by type, get hammer, get by type, get rod, and private walk, what is it? It's walk to nearest object, to nearest object walk to anvil. Okay. So essentially these are the three things we want to be true. And so we'll say this.get hammer equals. Now I did in these others, I said, you know, if you've already got it, you know, don't do anything. But it could have run once and done that too. It would have figured that out. So I don't technically have to check for that here. It was just a little optimization to short circuit. So we're going to get by type. We're going to get the hammer. We just want one of them. Yep, we're going to. So this is the. Okay, I think I may bite the bullet and go ahead and move this nav grid and nav function into the agent context. I'm tired of passing them around everywhere. And actually, this can kind of work already because the agent is already giving this. Okay, so that's one fewer thing I have to pass in. And so we can say context, nav grid, context, nav function. Let me make sure that still compiles. Okay, so far so good. The other thing is we can test this. Yeah, I've borrowed some of the other classes. Okay, so let me go ahead and wire this up real quick so that we have a way to run it. And then we can focus on, so I'm just wiring these in directly because we don't have signals or any of that stuff. And so what I do is I create a method here. Oops, yeah, it's a create dagger test. We'll just call it dagger test. So I create a method here to do the thing. And if activity, this is not how it would really be. It's just kind of hardwired. What did we call that? We called it create dagger. Yeah, or how original. And we didn't have any. Yeah, I mean, eventually this could be generalized probably and have like a list of recipes, like a recipe or something. But then the rest can just be the same boilerplate. And then the other thing we want to do is hook this up to the dialog, the little cheesy debug dialog that we have. Do create dagger. This is an unnecessary method in direction, but it's just easier. It looks cleaner. Do dagger test. Okay, so that should make a task, an activity that succeeds right away if it's wired correctly. So we ought to be able to bring the brain up. We ought to say dagger. Oh, no, see, this is why I do it, right? Because then I can catch all of my compile bugs. No signature method, do create dagger. Oh, do dagger, that's right. All right. This is the way life has been going. But yeah, I spent a solid 3 or 4 hours Wednesday night working this out, this approach. And I'm happy to have an approach. Yeah, the strategizer thing is interesting from a, like I could shell those out from the existing tasking, but it lacked the ability to run things while you're calculating, and so I just keep coming back to that. I'm either always in, like in the GOP stuff, it was always in theoretic space where I was working out what I wanted to do, but really the problem space itself is the physical world. Like, she's not supposed to be omniscient. She doesn't know what's in every chest. So she might have a memory that she left her hammer in this chest, but that doesn't mean it's still there. And so inherent in her solving problems is going to be wandering around to find things, and so that's an interactive thing between different layers of activity, and so that's what I came up with this newer approach. All right, so brain, it should... Nope, see, we still got something wrong. I should have used that nav function. Okay. I've got something set up wrong here. Nav function, nav grid, and then, oh, you know what, I'm not creating... No, I shouldn't need to. Nav function, nav grid. What's it complaining about? It's complaining... Line 993. Oh. Stupid typos and a scripting language that wants to try to figure out what you mean. Has everyone been having a productive week? I certainly hope so. Yeah, we're about to go into another quarterly planning song and dance at work. And I'm not looking forward to this week, but on the other hand, I won't have time to code at work, so my coding brain will be fresh. Alright, so brain, dagger. Yay! Okay, now it's at least doing things that we can fix. No message activity set result. For argument types, action result. What is it called then? Set status. And it is action result. Okay. So these are all good things to remember. Yeah, I need to make all this consistent, and like I said, I'm borrowing the action result from other things just because it had the 3 enums that I wanted. All right, dagger, 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 dagger. Yeah, success. We created the dagger. Yay! Okay, clear the log. So now we can work on actually making it do something. So get a hammer. We want to get a rod. I could actually start refactoring this a little bit. Nah, let's wait. Okay, and then we want to find an anvil. I think yeah. We want to do something like this. We probably could have done that before the dagger test. Because... Alright, so we want to context.agent.ed find entities. We want to find all the anvils realistically within a certain range, but this is all not pseudocode, but prototype code. It's dealing with a small world. We'll worry about the full world problems later. Okay, so if anvils is empty, we should do this check first. No point in continuing if we don't find any anvils. Hi, I was just about to go to bed when I saw the stream. I'm going to call it a day, so good luck. Oh, thanks, Max. Thanks for dropping in, at least. Sorry you can't stay. This should be a fun one. So we'll do this, and we will also, I had added this like think log thing. I think it's, yeah. Think log, yeah. No anvils found. And then we return. We don't have to keep doing things. Okay, otherwise, this walk to anvil equals new walk to nearest object. There we go. Oh yeah, we got to translate that into like a position, set of positions. Yes, we need this. Actually, I could just steal this. There we go. Now we're back. And we want that with the anvils. It'll be within 0.6 meters. We want context nav grid. Yeah, see, it would be so better. Okay, so we have all these things. And then if we want to say context fork, is that just what it is? Context fork, yep. And I think fork just returns a fork, yeah. So I'm going to have a problem. We already have to think about right. The simplest thing would be we want a context fork get hammer, and on failure context set result or set status action result failed, right? And this would be the ideal way. Get hammer, get rod, walk to anvil. At the moment, this will not work because each one of these is going to override the previous one. We have no way of sort of forking and then returning and then forking and returning and so on. And so that is something we need to think about. We could temporarily the other thing is there's an order implied, I mean specific here. We want to do this and then this and then this. As written, even if I nested each of these, it would do the walk to anvil first, which is not going to help me. So this is where we're going to get like we're going to get to do some let's just test it on one thing. Okay, so with the brain I should be able to say dagger and she'll walk over and get the hammer, and assuming I got it created correctly, which I don't. Oh. 1172. Ah. Alright, we'll try this again. Do any of you play any of the daily games in the New York Times, like the Connections or was it Bangrams or Pips? Pips is the one I really like these days. Pips reminds me a lot of programming, solving problems. Okay, so brain, if I create the dagger, should go get the hammer. Yep, okay. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, we didn't, crap. Okay, there's a cancel button, fortunately. And so this brain is now full of crap. Yep, okay. So the other thing I don't like about this approach so far is that if you forget to set a status, it's just going to work forever. So I almost want to say, well, I'll play with it some more, but I almost want to say that the caller of run should default the status to done unless it's been changed. So like before the run is called, it would set the status to done. Any of these would set the status to waiting. There's actually a really good benefit to doing that. It breaks all of my other but it lets me know, you know what I could do if there's already a fork, then don't. I'm trying to see what happens if fork succeeds, fork success. We could add a boolean return forked context is not equal to null, and forked context get status equals action result working. And so now I can ask it if it's forked. So then I can do something like this. If context is forked, return. So I can do like and then down here I could set success. So if we get down here and all those things are still true, except that requires, so it means every time through it's going to run get hammer. Get hammer is going to see if we have them already and immediately succeed, so that should be fine. Walk doesn't do that. So in walk's case, we can't do this, but what we can do is say on success. So if we get to the end, and this, I don't like this, I'm going to clean the API up a lot and clean the state management up a lot. So if we succeed, whatever the case is, we make it to this last one, whether we succeed or fail, we're going to pass that on to the caller. Okay. So she's already got a hammer. If I do this, it should just go for the rod. Oh, first. Yeah, so I already have the object before we start. But parallel fork's not yet supported. Because the context is never cleared. Do I need it? Forked context equals null. Let's just clear it if we succeeded or failed. We're done. Yeah, because otherwise we were going to keep calling it. Ooh, that would have been bad. Oh, here if we ran it, yeah, so that would clear it, that would clean it up. Yeah, okay. Okay, so again, that's infrastructure code. This is the regular code, and so we got to be able to do dagger again. It should say it's already got the hammer, and we're still failing somewhere. Parallel fork's not yet supported. Why? There is no parallel fork. Oh, I know why. Because we call this fork, and even if it succeeds right away, it's still going to be lodged there because we didn't clean it up on start. So we're going to need ugh. Gonna need something like this. Or we build it into the fork. If forked context get status equals action results working. So if we've got a context but it's already working, go ahead and set the forked context to close it, just in case. And then otherwise, if it's still running, it's not equal to working. So actually we want to flip these around. That makes more sense. Okay, so anything but working. If it's working, we get that. Anything else, it'll go ahead and close it and reset with the new one. Okay. Okay, let's try again. Dagger. Okay. Oh, if she grabbed them both, now she's heading over to the anvil. She can't quite reach the anvil. Uh-oh. Yeah. So something... So the walk to object is set up to loop forever. It's actually cool that I haven't had an example where so what happens is when the action fails, walk to first object start working. Okay, so I'm trying to see how it failed. But why did it fail? We started the actions. Failed action. Okay, so we failed the action. Let's just put action failed here, and we'll add it to the context log. so we can see it better. But for some reason, setting the status to failed did not fix it. Okay. So fortunately, I think we're in a place where it'll keep failing. Good after evening. Hey, Chucks. So let's try again. Yeah, walk action failed, and then it starts again. Okay. So good, she's still failing. So at least I have a nice test case to see why she's failing. Because what should have happened is this marked it failed. And that makes this activity has failed. And that should have made this fail. So let's add think log failed to walk to anvil. Walked to anvil. Okay. So brain, dagger, says keep running, blah, blah, blah. Failed, okay, cancel. So what did it fail to do? So we started, walk action failed, then it started get by type, I already have the object, started get by type, right. Start to walk to nearest object. Oh, it's starting it again, but why? We should have failed. Because we don't check our failure success status before we try to run. What we need to do is, we should not have been running. Let's try again. Green dagger. Alright, so walk action failed. Update activity. Status working. No, status should not have been working. Yeah, it never called our on failed. Right, even though the walk action failed. Did we see this? Walk action failed. We did. That's this here. Walk action failed. Oh, we've got the, it got too wide. There we go. Walk action failed. And then we started again when we shouldn't have. Walk action failed should have chained back to this. Should have set our status so we would have, let's see, back to agent. run, and we would return false. Yeah. Where is the walk action failed? Update activities. No. I think that this didn't get chained because we would have called fork failed. That's fine. That would have called. Let's log set status. I couldn't get this case to occur before, which is why I haven't debugged this particular problem. It wouldn't fail consistently, so this is one of the reasons we're getting it. We're getting it nice. She's gonna walk around this at some point, and we won't be able. I may be able to lodge her back there again, but eventually she might make it around the anvil. Then we have a problem. Okay, so walk action failed. Set status failed on the walk to nearest object. So that's the wrong context. Okay, so we got the walk action failed. That's fine. That called this, which called context set failed, which is fine. Then as soon as we got to run, we would have run this. And we should have log info forced. I keep doing that. Forked status. Okay. Let's try again. One of these times I say she's going to make it around. Yeah, she's almost ready. Okay. So, where's the action failed? Failed action. So the walk action failed. We set the status. We update activities. No. Because we cleared the action already. We cleared the child. When we called fork failed, and set forked context to null. We cleared out the status. Here, if the fork fails, we should have no, hold on. Trying to hide all this inside the framework makes this part complicated, so the other part can be easy, but I've got to get this wired correctly. And so the actions fork failed, and that calls the forked context fork failed, which sets it to failed, but we never get a chance to close out. And so in here we have to check if forked context so this is called when I think forked failed is only called when an action fails. Nope. Yes. Yeah. Maybe we should change the name of this then. And change this to forked action succeeded. Let's be a little clearer. And so switch fork context get status case action result dot success action result dot failure failed. I always get those wrong because I named them with different tenses. And so then we want to say again, no nesting. I mean, no doubling up, no parallel, that's what I mean. And we want to do something similar down here. All right, let's try it. Should fail. Failed to walk to anvil. Yay! So that's what should happen. So the whole operation failed because she couldn't walk there because she's caught on the corner. But now that she has, so we fixed that part. So now that she has all that, if we walked over here, she's still holding the rod and the hammer. So now if we did it, she can walk there. Let's clear this log. Dagger. So she should walk over there. She should get close enough to say, yes, walk to. So now she could actually bang, 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 turn it into a dagger, presumably. And we could then add that. So on failed, we'll do that. On success, it occurs to me I could wire these up to automatically pass on failure, so that I don't always have to do that. So there's a lot of times when you can make make alternative means. For example, for a really bad example, perhaps if you can't get the hammer in the normal way, you could create one somehow. So then there would be, another thing another activity you could fork to find what you wanted to. So on success, we want to, bang, bang, bang. That should probably be its own activity. Should definitely be an action, but for now I think we can just manually do it. So let me say what rod did we have? So get rod and get by type should have had a found. Yep. List entity get found, return found, or we could just look in our inventory. But let's try to be logical. So get rod, get found. Okay, so let's make sure that's got what we wanted there. I really like having that little log in the right in here. It's kind of convenient. Yep. So, it didn't have a rod. Okay, so that's useful. Get rod lost. So it said I already have the objects before we start, in which case it would have added them to the nothing clears it. Get by type is what we're looking at. Okay. If we had gotten it the normal way, we'd have been fine. Oh, we clear it. Release the object. No. So we're going to I think we can do this. I think when we're trying to get multiples, anyway, let's see if this fixes the problem. Yeah, it does. So now, like, we have the rod, but I kind of feel like, and I'm gonna reset the objects. So she's not holding them anymore. They're back in their original containers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the rod thing, because it gets 2 rods. I want to make sure that still works. Clear the log. Rod. She's going to go there and get that one, assuming she can make it all the way to the chest. Yep. She's stuck again. And I think she keeps retrying this one. Nope. That one just plain failed. So let's move a little bit. That's the problem of the Pathfinder, or the steering behaviors. Alright, so now let's do this again. Yeah, so that's the problem. Let me reset the objects again, because I want her to be able to get to both. Alright, so now this one has a hammer and a rod, 2 rods. So she should get the rod from here and the rod from there, unless I broke something. She gets that rod, and she gets that rod. Now she should have 2 rods. Yep. Okay. So the interesting thing is, now that she's already got 1 rod, if we ran the dagger behavior, she's going to go over and get just the hammer. She's already got rods. Yeah, now she'll go straight to the anvil and fail to get close enough. Yeah. That's because she's trying to walk to the center of the anvil. Okay. So I didn't break it when I changed that found thing. So now if she tries to create a dagger, she should... Yep, okay. She didn't actually create one. Oh, this will be neat. I should be able to create more than 1 dagger with the materials we have. Okay, cool. Back up to our create dagger. So once we get down here, we have a rod. Let's check to make sure if get rod, get found is empty, then we'll like log at anvil without a rod, and we'll set us to failed. Otherwise, we walked the anvil, we got a success. Let's just put this stuff up here. That's fine. We'll put the set success at the end in case something goes wrong along the way. And so we got the rod. Let's get, I think we can say first. I think this will work. Brain, dagger. Yep. Okay. All right. So we want to like we can actually if we wanted to, we could like have the anvil like make, you know, the anvils can talk just like the players as far as the text that floats above them, but so we could say yeah, what anvil did we walk to? We walked to it'll be like get last target, yeah. Walk to anvil, get last target, say clang, oh, let's see, clang clang. So the point is, like, we've got like all of these options available. So this nice thing about writing code, like having like code instead of chaining together a bunch of things, is you can actually write stuff to do things without jumping through hoops. So now, did I forget to put the, yeah, I always forget to put how long. I should add a one that has a default. So there's like how long is it supposed to be up there? 5 seconds. So then brain, dagger, clang, clang. So see, it says clang, clang there. So that's like kind of cool. Anyway, that's dumb. That's silly, I know. Okay, so let's see. Def rod equal. Oops. Okay. Now we want to say rod becomes a object type info. What does my entity helper say? Oh, I don't have one. Okay. So then we'll have to do the normal way. Create. Always fun to watch your coding process. I wish I had a programmer's mindset. I think maybe people are born with an affinity for it, but otherwise it's just lots and lots of experience. And I've known people who I didn't think would be good at it, but then ended up being pretty good at it. So you just never know. Okay, so then rod becomes dagger, and we'll also want to yeah, so what is the dagger? So maybe we could just convert it to a dagger. Normally this would be a little more complicated, right? But now our UI may not like this at all. Oh, yeah. Because I don't know if the things are prepared to have their shapes switched. I've never had to do that. All right, let's have her make a dagger. Ba-dunk, ba-dunk, ba-dunk. Yep, it converted one of those rods to a dagger. See? Clang, clang, and now she should be able to do it again because she's got a rod. So clear the log, make another dagger. Clang, clang. Now she's got 2 daggers. And now if we do it again, she should go get one of the rods out of that chest and make another dagger. So let's try it again. Clear the log, dagger, ba-doo, ba-doo, ba-doo. She's going to check in that chest. She's not going to find anything. And she gets stuck on the chest. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I think this is where we find. I always tell people it's a skill that anyone can learn. Like you said, though, and like everything else, experience counts a lot. Yeah. I do like. I think that people might be born with an affinity for something. Just depends on how their brain is wired, but that doesn't mean that anybody couldn't learn it. Man, so I need to park her back here so that she's definitely going to have this problem again. Because I think this is what happened before. What I was trying to check before that I broke. Yeah, true. And I think if you have an affinity for something, then the initial parts of it are easier and you're more likely to keep doing it. So you can overcome a lack of an affinity by just having more desire than the average person. You know, if you're a short, squat person, you can still learn to play basketball if you've got like a real passion for it, and you might get pretty good at it. But if you're already like 7.5 feet tall, you've got an advantage, right? Okay, so that's definitely messed up. Cancel. And I think this is because create dagger. Yeah, I think that because we cleared it, because we cleared the found, it can't. Well, first of all, I think this should be a set anyway. Because we don't clear it here. No, that can't be the reason. But I think that I just broke something else. So this, I think that Groovy sets I have to say first. Groovy, get the first item of a set. Yeah, so there is first. I was right. First, okay. But now we get so this is going to be my life for the next few days, is debugging all of these weird loops like this. So let's try again. Let me think what I want to debug. We've got create dagger. This is fine. It comes through. Get rod. Should keep going as long as it's got start. Let me make sure it's not restarting that every time. It shouldn't necessarily be restarting it every time. So cancel. Let me try again. Clear log, dagger, cancel. I missed a lot of live streams. What is your AI architecture? It's becoming sort of a hybrid between like a declarative behavior tree is the closest to what it's turning out to be. But there'll be a state machine in there and signals to change states and stuff as well. But that's the easy answer. If you watch the live streams, you'll see me. If you were to go back and watch the live streams, the fun thing about watching the old live streams is you could put them on like double speed and listen to me like a chipmunk. So I think I need to keep track of which get by type we're doing. But somehow we lost our ability to move from object to object. Done 3 iterations, yes. It keeps finding the same containers over and over again. So let's log info, start. Run. Actually, these I'm certainly going to want to get rid of. And then done. And then probably get class, get simple name. works. Alright, let's try again. Get better debug information. Okay, cancel. Alright, so create dagger. Get by type done, success. Get rod times 1. Run. Looking in chests, blah, 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 blah. So we look in the first chest. And we don't find it in the chest we're near. Then we walk to that chest, probably. And walk to nearest objects, still working. Walk to nearest object, run. Pathfinder done 3, so we walk there. And yeah, I gotta go back further. Why is it constantly recreating these parts? Walk to first object, success, and then when it tries to do it again, why was this working at all before? Because it would rerun. Yeah, that's right, because we hadn't tied things up before. But just because my child succeeds, okay. So when the walk succeeds, walk to first object, start, yeah. So we checked, we weren't near when we walked to the first object. That one we already have the objects before we start. I needed to loop a bunch of times. Why does it keep doing this? Oh, because it's constantly grabbing the center. Yes, it's stuck at 6. Entity 6. Yeah, walking to entity 6. So the action succeeds. We tell it succeeded. Okay, so this is the problem, is it's getting confused, I think. Wait, let me think about this. Wait, no. So this would have been the child. The child would have gotten the fork action succeeded because we passed it down. Let me see if this is a issue with the double nesting. I'm going to reset the objects. So now we got this. So let's see if she can do the original dagger task, or the original rod task. She'll get the rod there, and then she'll go over to the next one. Yeah, so it's a double nesting problem. Yeah, she's not going to make it because she's trapped. Yeah, you have to have a lot of patience. Programming requires it. Anyway, now it so happens that if I was to run the dagger task, she'll be able to succeed. She'll make a dagger. Clang, clang, clang. Rod turns to dagger. She'll be able to walk and get another one. Oh no, she's going to get caught in the same trap, right? Yeah, okay, cool. And it definitely has to do with the double nesting issue. So there's some logic in here with the double nesting is causing a problem. And so what happens is the walk see, if we're only running get by type. Oh, but that's with the count. It's not restarting. That's why. If we did 2 in a row, it would fail. Because start starts over again. Somehow we need to remember. Yeah, so every time it starts, it resets the list of. We can see this if we wanted to. Chests. Actually, we could context agent think log get by type chests. Alright, so that will let us see. Dagger, clear log, cancel. Oh, yeah, my log is way behind over here. But we should have seen in this log. Get by type, yeah, the same chests we've already been at. That's a problem. we want to be able to reuse the walk in each pass. We wanted to remember what it was doing before. We don't need this. So if we had already started it once, we don't want to start it again. Yeah, and I think if we ever really do want to restart it, we need to like have a specific way of restarting it. So set activity already started. I'm just going to be specific. All right. And so if we fork a task, if activity, if already started, contains, the fun part's going to be already started.add. So if it adds it, then it wasn't started before, it'll start it now. The fun part about this is going to be like packaging this up in real code and writing all the unit tests and stuff, because this is one of those things. It's definitely going to require a bunch of unit tests to make sure that one little change doesn't topple the whole house of cards, because it's quite complicated. All right, so let's see if this fixes the problem and creates new ones. Uh-oh. Cancel. Now it's not even making it back. Oh, we do need to reset the status, though. No, let's see. What would get by type normally have done? It would have normally just come back into run, but it won't run unless the status is working again. So let's say forked context. No. We should have started status as working anyway. Yeah. But if we don't start get by type, we don't start walk, then it won't get the new things. It should have remembered the targets it went to before. It's because we're recreating it, I think. Yeah. So that's not even really the problem. It's not that we're calling start. It's that start is not being smart about start's not being, in this case, get by type start is not start is not being smart about the fact that it has already run before. So that we still want to do on start. This we only want to do on start if we didn't already have a walk. if this dot walk dot has targets, not has targets, and it's walk. Walk doesn't have targets, then walk has run out of targets. Failed. So in this case, basically, we're setting up get type so that it could be rerun again intelligently. And so if we don't have a walk, we'll set one up to go to all the chests. Otherwise, we'll assume we've already got the chests and we'll start again. But we need to call start because it needs to get the latest location of the player, or not the player, the NPC, and recreate the new pathfinder. It just needs to do it with the reduced nav targets, and that's why this has a separate reset if you want to like start over completely from all the chests you started with. But we were recreating it every time, so every time it ran through, every time create dagger ran through here again, you know, it would fork get rod, and that would have started it completely over again, because get rod would have called start. The start would have created a new thing. Yeah, I think this fixes it, but again, there's a whole bunch of, basically I have to like almost draw on the whiteboard all the different ways ins and out. To make this code simple, I have to make this code really complicated. So that's the issue. Okay, let's try brain. Will it work? Yep. It's trying. Why is it going so slow, though? Oh, it really is. What's it doing? Have we just picked up too many things? No. Clang, clang, clang. Okay, she created another one. Now she's got 2 daggers. Let's see if she can do it again. Okay, she's going to check this one. She's going to run out of stuff. I'm wondering if we've just been running too long and have accumulated too many recompiles. Well, we're only like 5% RAM. But yeah, it's running at like 23 frames a second. Okay, so she's got another rod. She's going to be able to create 2 more daggers if we wanted her to. Yes, she's got shadows coming down. Clang, clang. So she's got 3 daggers. Let's try for a third. Clear the log here. Dagger. Yeah, see, she's got no memory of where she saw rods last. And that's one thing I'll have to add, is like some kind of memory to the mobs so that they can sort of remember the things they've interacted with. So she'll create 1 more, and then I think she's out of rods, or she'll have to like walk all the way across. So she's got a rod, 3 daggers, and a hammer. Clang, clang. Alright, let's see if she can create 1 more. She's going to fail to this one. Yep, so she's going to try this one. She's going to fail there because there's nothing in there. And she's going to go to the one in the closet. Wow, this is getting really slow. I wonder what that's all about. While she's doing that, I mean, it's not overly big, really. I am running low on RAM, though. Firefox is taking a tremendous amount of RAM. I'm a wizard. So then we can follow So she's going to head all the way over to her house because there's one more chest in the house to check. While this is doing this, I'm going to kill some Firefox processes and see if that helps. Let's kill this one. And kill this one. Oh yeah, look, Java grew immediately. So it was suppressed. Java was running out of system RAM to allocate. Yeah, so we're back up to 60 frames a second. So that's what it is. This is Windows 7. I have Windows 10 on my other machine. I may get a laptop soon with Windows 11. We'll see. Alright, she got a rod. Now she's calculating a way back to the anvil. Oh man, look at that. I need to potentially clear this out. Yeah, some reason. There we go. I don't know why it was slowing down so much. She's got all these things stacked on her head. Yeah, Windows 7 really was pretty good. I thought XP was pretty good too. 7 kind of smoothed over some things, and it stays up for months at a time. Whereas my Windows 10 box, I have to reboot it every week or so because it just stuff stops working. The search in the start bar stops working. Weird stuff like that. I just have to. Hey, clang clang! We made another dagger, and so now, if we try it again, we should fail because we are completely out of rods. I'm curious if she'll fail or loop. I'll clear the log. So let's try again. One more dagger. Oh, she's stuck on the anvil. Oh, she's gonna make it around. Yeah, so one of these live streams. So I think once I get like this kind of wrapped up, one of these live streams we'll go through, we'll add some other animations so they can sit and lay down and stuff. And then what we'll do is, there we go. Now let's see if she'll finish the path. And then we'll spend a live stream like incorporating the old pathfinding and steering that I did in some previous prototypes where they steer around the objects a little bit and they follow the path and not in these little micro increments. I almost went down those rabbit holes several times, but they weren't going to get me closer to the architecture that I wanted. So, okay, so now she's calculating a path to the last chest. Well, there's 2 more chests, but there's one she can't get to. That's there on purpose. Okay, so she'll. Man, why so slow? Let me check this again. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I think it keeps intermittently running out of RAM. I'm just watching this up here. Because now we're at either that or when she's intersecting a door or something, it's just hitting the physics engine really hard. I don't know. Yeah, she does a little skip sometimes. But this prototype would be a lot more fun if she walked faster. And unfortunately, I can't really increase her speed because she keeps stopping to arrive at each of these little green blops. Okay, so she's trying to... Oh, she was able to get one more? No, that can't be right. Nope, failed. Yeah, okay, she had one more chest to try, and she couldn't get there. Alright, so, yeah, so what do I want to do with the last 19 minutes? Does anybody have any questions about what's going on here? Let's just have her plot a way to work. So she'll at least walk back to where everything is. So I mean, this next week I'm going to be like tightening this up, cleaning up some of the API, because I really want to be able to like run activities in parallel somehow. Not exactly sure how. Yes, he's not walking on this path. This is the thing I'm using to walk to the anvil is using the old strategizer thing, so it doesn't draw these little paths. But so she calculated a different path. But yeah, we're getting real close to having like the need for better animations. I need to have her be able to get in bed and go to sleep and stuff like that. So she walks to the anvil. Yeah, she's done that at least. Yeah, so see right now. Yeah, just for a second we were. Yeah, so I think we hit a point where we're having trouble allocating RAM maybe, and then yeah, it's like look, yeah. So there is an issue with some of the debug stuff that's being captured in the old approach is not being cleared in the new approach, and so I imagine we're just like building up big lists of contacts and other things as we walk around. Anyway, this is pretty cool. I'm kind of pleased with this. So we've got this create dagger, and it's kind of smart. I may have to add a different life cycle start and resume so that we can avoid this logic I had to put down there, which was like if we had already created the thing, don't create it. But like to flesh the life cycle out a little bit for when these tasks are reused, or I need to tighten up the start a little bit. I don't know. There's a little bit of workflow to be done, but unlike the other approaches so far, where I was pretty sure going into the live stream that there were still a ton of problems to work out. The problems to work out here, I think, are all solvable. They don't feel. Anyway, I just really like the flow here, and so, and I already know it works. It's just a matter of, can I make it work in a way that's not confusing to anybody who would ever write AI code, right? Because the game is moddable, and so I have to make this sort of, I tighten it up, put some things away, like by default, if on failure is going to fail, just let it fail the outer task 2 unless you want to. Anyway, just tighten it up so that this code can be a little clearer. Like, for example, if we could just fork each of these, boink, 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 and not have all these if context is forked, not have any of these, just have it automatically do the first one, then the second one, then the third one, that kind of thing. That would clean this code up a lot, but I just really want a particular activities run method to just read like it's doing it. Okay, we want to make sure we've got the hammer. We want to make sure we got the right, kind of like the GOP rules were. We want to make sure we're at the anvil. So then this could have been get a hot rod, and then there could have been an activity to get a hot rod that was depending on getting a rod and taking it over to the forge, which if we had a little more time, I might try to do. But in principle, it's no different than what we're doing here. It's just another step. There could be another step at the end where when we're so the other thing is I can try this. Yeah, let's see. Let's put all the objects back where they were. I think I could have made this simpler by let's just do this. Oh wait, let's cut and paste it first. So I think if like you want to be able to chain the successful path together into into one stream of logic. And so this on success was kind of like a blip. If we had needed to do, like, say we wanted to, after you create the dagger, go put it in the chest in the closet, we couldn't have, because basically this fork was terminal, because we had an on failure and an on success. It was going to terminate this outer activity no matter what. So what we'd really like is this, and we'd like, if we're still forked, like if we're still walking to the anvil, then don't do anything. And so this should still run like before. So let's move her out from behind the anvil so she can get at things. All right. And now let's see, can she still get the dagger and, I mean, still get the rod and the hammer and make something? Let's see, dagger. Oh boy, we're super slow again. I don't know why. I can't explain it other than the fact that we've been running this the whole live stream pretty much. Okay, so she's going to come and she's going to make the dagger. And it hopefully won't loop. Oh, we don't set success. Oh, we do set success anymore. Oh, up. Yeah, she walked. She failed. She got stuck on the corner of the anvil again. Okay. And now we've got speed again. I just don't understand. I'm going to have to do some debugging and make sure there's not some weird busy loop somewhere that gets engaged. Okay, so let's try it again. I want to see, let me just double check the logic here. Yeah, so yeah, if we fall all the way through, we set success. So as long as we didn't fork on any of those other things, she'll come, yeah, see now it's doing slow again. That's why I feel like it's looping somewhere. Okay, so she'll make it. Well, she did make it. No, she didn't. Yeah, see now we're looping in some weird way. We gotta cancel. What happened? Did she not make it to the object? It doesn't look like she started the walk and never made it. Let's try again. Walk to first object, start working. Yeah, it's like now she gets stuck, and I don't know if that's because of this. Or because we broke something somewhere else. So let's just comment this out again. Put it back the old way. Okay, can you do it now? Yep. Okay, so there's something wrong with... I should be able to do what I just did, but it didn't work. I wonder if... I know what happened. Because walk to anvil doesn't have a I'm done mode. So when we fork get hammer, if we've already got the hammer, it's done. If we fork get rod, if we've already got the rod, it's done. If we fork walk to anvil, it's going to try to walk to the anvil again. It doesn't know we're already at the anvil. Probably it could be set up to do that, but the other thing is these walk activities are set up to potentially walk to a bunch of different things. And so when they arrive at something, they remove it from their target list so that they're set up to go to the next one. And so so this is where I'll spend this is what I'll spend tomorrow on, is making that other way work, because the other thing I want to add to this is that she would go and put the thing away in the chest. Let me see what that chest is. Perhaps we can make that work in the next 9 minutes. The chest in the closet is chest 3, I think. So if we what do I want to do here? We want to walk to a very specific like I want a very specific chest, and there's a way to do that that's better than what I'm about to do, but this is the easiest way. Def chest 3 equals null. Chests and each if I think it's name. I think I added an entity helper for name. Yep. If chest 3 equals name, chest 3 equals it, and then we'll want to target util. Let's make sure we still have what we want. Context agent, I think log chest 3. Let's make sure it's gonna even find that chest. Brain. Dagger. Oh boy. Yeah. That's the problem, because I'm trying to make this entity system generic, like it's not all embedded in the thing, but that means I constantly have to refer back to the entity system every time. Well, at least we'll have reset the JVM. But now I got 6 minutes to get this working. Wow, it took a really long time to start. I suppose it's all relative, but okay, so let's create the mob over here. Oops. Center the camera. Blink, blink, blink. We'll go ahead and follow her. That's fine. Okay. And the other thing I'll do is I'll remember so like in this particular NPC's life, there's going to be specific objects they know about, as long as they're still there. Alright, so let's see if she knows where chest 3 is, if that find code worked okay. Dagger. Blink, blink, blink. Yep, chest 3, she's got it. So we can cancel before she gets too far. Alright. I don't want to have to reset the world again if I can avoid it. So walk to chest equals new walk to target util. Resolve. Targets, man. Itchy ear. Something about being in headphones. Context agent ed. Chest 3. 0.6. Yeah, see, I think that this is not going to work out well unless we could have done the inline. Because we're going to have to like double nest. Context fork, walk to chest. On failure. Failed to walk to chest. Let's think. It's just going to get weird, right? On success. And then in here, we would say, well, it's still the same rod, even though it's not a rod anymore. And then we would say new contained in chest 300. So we would put it away. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. 1, 2, 2, 3. Okay, I missed a parentheses. Yeah, now we should be good. Really, at least we'll compile. All right, let's see if she can do it and put it away. Wouldn't that be a nice end cap on the? Okay, she's got all her materials. She's not going to make it to the anvil. Yep. Okay, so let's head back out here a little bit. Okay. Now we'll follow again. And brain. The brain do the braining. Okay. Oh, that's just 3 apparently. Oh, no. What's she doing? Oh, bad things are happening. Yeah, so something went wrong with the nested fork. Oh well. Like I said, this is not really the way I wanted to do it anyway, this double nesting of a fork. So probably first what I'll do is figure out why this didn't work. And then I'll figure out why I couldn't fix it so I could have gotten rid of this on success and used this down here instead. Because that would have been way more logical. So, but yeah, so something's letting this run method come in and in and in and in and in, and it's just repeating over and over again. And trying to walk again. And so yeah, that's not going to get resolved in the next 5 or 10 minutes, so that's like a deep dive into the same kind of logic debugging that you guys said takes a lot of patience. But we're getting there, right? And so we can start creating more interesting behaviors. And then the other thing is to start incorporating the schedule from the town people so that she knows when it's work time. And so basically we'll change these over, like I have sleep, work, and stuff. We'll change these over to be what the town would send as a schedule. So sleep, and so she'll do all the activities necessary to go to bed, that kind of thing. Work, she'll get, basically we'll have all of the different schedules. I think it was sleep, it was like the morning routine, it was, go to work, and so on. And we'll have buttons for those and just kind of get it set up to be triggered by a schedule. And maybe with some fast forward things. Yeah, so she created the dagger, and then for some reason she's walking over here instead of walking to the chest. Yeah, so basically it re-triggered walk to anvil. Yeah, okay, anyway, I'm not going to debug this anymore on stream. It's actually way past my dinner time. Well, thanks for joining, guys. Yeah, it's been awesome. I think a productive stream. I think we're starting to get to the point where the AI actually looks interesting. So yeah, definitely Where can I, there we go. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. It does help the algorithm. I do like to see YouTube comments occasionally, so that's kind of cool. Otherwise, join the Discord. You download the game, give it a try. Join the Discord, hang out there. Lots of nice people there. And I will catch you next time, hopefully with even more AI goodness to start getting into. So thanks.